Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hello, everybody. It's Becky Brown, and I am joined today by Dr. Sheri Keffer and Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris, and we're going to take your calls for the next couple of hours. So give us a call at 1-800-229-3000. One of the things that I'm so excited about today's show is because Sheri and Jacqui have taught us all about trauma and the effects and just, everything from what it does to our brains, to our bodies, to our relationships, all different ways. But one of the things that we don't talk about enough is the different types of trauma and the different types of treatment for trauma. So what does all trauma have in common? And what is the first step that someone could take to recognize it or to get help for it? And I don't care who starts, because you both have a lot of wisdom to share.
Well, I'll start with the honest truth. How's that sound?
I love it.
Okay, I'm in a spiritual faith trauma right now. Anytime you're doing what's right, anytime you're fighting for what's good, for what's in God's heart, we don't struggle against flesh and blood. We struggle against principalities. And so I want to read to you what a dear friend of mine, I've got some folks that are on my prayer team, and this is what she said today. Her name is Corrine, and Corrine, I love you. She says, you've been through and are going through a tremendous amount of attack. She said, it brings me to tears. I grieve for all you're going through. The battle with the Amorites was long too, longer than Moses had strength for. That's why God sent Aaron and Hur, because he knew Moses would need help. That's why God sent us. You're not alone. We will hold you up when you can't. It's okay. Breathe and be right where you're at. You're loved right where you're at. In this very moment, you're loved. I think one of the traumas that we don't often talk about is a spiritual or faith trauma, when we're hit by wave after wave after wave after wave. And when I think about Moses and my dear friends that are holding my arms up right now, when I am in a place of despair over a number of things that are going on, physical, family, myself, there's just a lot. Yeah. I think that's a part of trauma treatment. That's the first step, is reaching out to your peeps, to say, I'm hitting the wall and I need a Ben and a Her to hold me up, to pray for me, to love me when I'm struggling. Yeah. And so that's practical happening right now. I'm walking through it and in it, but that's what I have to bring. I'm just being real.
Yeah. And thank you so much for being real and being so vulnerable as you always are, and so honest with your heart and generous. I agree that the first step is in reaching out. The problem is, a lot of times trauma has led people to thinking that they can't trust other people.
It's true.
And so the only one they can rely on is themselves. And we live in a culture that teaches individuality.
Yeah.
And so it's a hard thing to lean in to the people around you who could help you. But trauma work requires some support. It requires a team.
It does. I told I told my team today, I said, I didn't want to reach out to you. I didn't, right? Because but Dr. Jacqui, you are so true. And Becky, thank you for asking these questions, because there's a time, even with trauma, you've got to push through what feels counterintuitive and just take one step. That's it. I just took one step this morning and I got back what I needed, just a breath of fresh air and some love to support me. And we can all do that.
Yes.
It's really amazing, because trauma does impact all of us and we don't always recognize it. But we'll see how we can help you. Give us a call. We'll talk more about it.
New Life Ministries saved my completely broken marriage.
This is Steve Arterburn. Do you feel like your marriage is broken? New Life can help. Our Intimacy in Marriage workshop examines the various types of intimacy, spiritual, emotional, and physical, as well as the challenges of experiencing true intimacy.
The next Intimacy and Marriage workshop is July 28th to the 30th in Washington, D.C. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more or go to newlife.com. 1-800-639-5433.
Don't settle for a miserable marriage or even one that's just okay. It's possible to have that great marriage you always want.
3.5 years later, we're still going strong, and I would encourage really anybody who's struggling in their marriage to go to a New Life workshop. They are more effective than anything else we tried.
1-800-NEWLIFE.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We opened the show talking about the impact of trauma, and Sheri so graciously shared about spiritual trauma that she's experienced. I wonder, do we handle all traumas the same? Because it is the word of the day. We hear it in all different avenues, which is really good, because you guys know 20 years ago we weren't even talking about this. We had one category for trauma, and that was it. And yet there are so many people experiencing trauma on every level. Yeah. But Jacqui, what are the different types? Do we handle it the same?
I think in one way it is the same, because it's about relationship and connection. We require that for healing. In other ways it is different because we can treat the different traumas differently, but also every individual is different. So for somebody, EMDR might be the way to go, and somebody else might need cognitive processing therapy. Someone else might just want regular talk therapy, and just having that corrective parental experience, or experience of comfort, or learning how to self-soothe with a trusted other can be the trauma treatment for that particular person. Different traumas look different. They impact us in different ways. So relational trauma, interpersonal trauma, for example, an affair. People don't necessarily think of the impact of that as being traumatic, but it is, and it can cause PTSD symptoms. And that is going to be an ongoing treatment that is going to look different than the trauma of someone who, say, had a horrifying car accident. Right. So they're looking at the physical issues as well as, can I get back out and drive again? Whereas in the relational issue, it's, can I trust this person? How do I get back to trusting them? Am I always going to panic every time they pick up their phone, or they don't come home on time? And so I think that there are differences in the way we treat trauma. And so if you're in trauma treatment and it doesn't look like something someone else has suggested, you have to decide if this is right for you. And with a professional, a trauma-informed professional, they can help you find the right treatment for you. I've done work with people that, I've started EMDR with someone, and we had a great EMDR session, and the sessions after that, they really just wanted to talk and process. But we've done that one EMDR session, and what then they felt like they really needed was to be able to talk it out and to have some more insight. And in order to get the insight, they needed to talk. And so talk therapy ended up being the way to go. So I would just say, find what works for you, but look for trauma-informed care, and hopefully that therapist will be flexible enough to shift based on what you need. I'm integrative, so I'm looking at whole person, and so I'm focused on what's going to be best for this individual at this particular time in this particular situation.
Right. And I appreciate that. I think, so she's talking about eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I know, Sheri, you talk about that a lot, and the impacts on the brain. And so if you need help with trauma, or even maybe if you wonder if you have trauma, which you probably do, and literally, I don't know how anybody, unless you live in a bubble, don't have some traumatic experiences in life.
Well, and Becky, my daughter and I have been talking this past week over, we're working on a workshop, and we are doing stories. And she's found that a lot of times the reason people aren't moving forward is they're stuck in their story, because we're not telling our story, we're looking at everyone else's story. And you are the main character in your story. So start by writing your story.
Yeah.
Start back at the beginning to the dawn of conscious memory, the first thing you can remember, and then tell yourself the story of your life that's happened so far. And then we get to create a new narrative going forward of what you want your life to look like. And that's one of the ways we do trauma work at the Bridge.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. Now, let's see if we can help somebody on the phones today. We're going to take calls for a couple hours, 1-800-229-3000. We're going to talk with Mary, who's calling us from Denver, listens on KRKS. Hello, Mary. I'm glad you called. How can we help you today?
Yes, my daughter's had some trauma in her life, and she lives with me and my two grandchildren, 15 and 13.
Okay, so how can we help you with that?
I'm beside myself in what to do because this happened a couple years ago. Somebody kidnapped her, and she keeps reliving it. And the psychiatrist put her on medication, and she's having a hard time with anger and the visions and things happening to her over and over and over.
Is she
all right,
in therapy?
Mary? Well, yeah, that's what. Go ahead.
Mary, is she in therapy?
No. She was a long time ago, and then she's not in anymore.
Do you know your daughter is responding absolutely normally to a kidnapping? But Dr. Jacqui, when she was talking earlier about different interventions, when I say absolutely normally, when we're kidnapped, our brain makes a recording of that event, and it's like stuck in replay. It's like watching a movie clip over and over again. And she's not doing that on purpose. That's her brain's way of trying to save her and warn her. But what's happening is that loop, that little movie screen that keeps playing over and over, is debilitating. I imagine one of the negative beliefs, if I was working with her, we would identify one of the negative beliefs is I'm in danger. I'm in danger. So she's in a hypervigilant state, even though she's living in your home. And you're like a great mama bird. You're there, there's down, there's food, there's a roof. But it's that her brain's looping. And so I would probably use some eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, EMDR, to go in and break that loop. It's basically a type of therapy that goes in, and it's kind of like sticking a spoke in a wheel. It helps the brain process where it got stuck, and it releases that memory from I'm in danger to it's over now, I'm safe. But if you were to tell your precious daughter right now, it's over, honey, you're safe, she'd probably say, no, I'm not, because I didn't see the kidnapper coming, right? Then that movie starts over again. But again, with intervention, your precious daughter doesn't need to stay stuck at home, and she doesn't need to stay suffering in distress. She just needs some help in intervention, but specific help to get to the other side of this.
And a place where she can direct that anger. I'd be angry too. It's disrupted her life, and it's a memory she's not going to be able to get rid of. Whatever happened during that time continues to happen to her over and over and over again. Her body is triggered, and her nervous system doesn't know the difference. And so one of the kids might say something or do something, or you might say something or do something, or not lock the door, or it could be any number of things that trigger her, and her nervous system doesn't know she's not in danger. It just knows she needs to survive. So I agree with Dr. Sheri. She needs to be in treatment. And it may take a while. It might not be something that's a short 6-weeker, but maybe it is. Sometimes EMDR just opens things up and a person gets unstuck and then starts to process and move through their trauma, and then they can do some more things on their own, create some habits to help them soothe themselves on their own.
I'm also wondering, Mary, how this has been for you.
Very hard. Very hard.
Yeah.
It's like
because
Very difficult. Yeah, I have to take care of the kids and do everything for them, and she can't do anything.
Well, and I'm even thinking, Mary, about the kidnapping itself. That was a traumatic event for you. And I was thinking, Sheri, when you were talking about the daughter being in that loop, I'm wondering about you, Mary, if you might also be in that same loop. And if no one is getting help, you are all experiencing that trauma on a repeat, like it's just going around and around. What would you, Jacqui or Sheri, what would you say to Mary? How can Mary get the help that she needs, not only for her daughter, but for her?
You know what? I think there's an illusion that we all long for. It's that time heals all wounds. But what you're finding, Mary, is that time isn't really helping this one, right? And so first step is I would love you to stay on the line with us. We have got New Life therapists all over the country. And before the night comes upon you, would you kindly take some steps to helping your daughter get into intervention? Even have her listen to this show. Like, we record this so she could just listen. If if it's live in your area, or she could go on today under New Life Radio, you guys can scroll down and she could even press on and listen to the show. I want to give her hope. What happened to her was tragic, horrible, terrifying. But I also want to tell her, honey, you do not have to stay where you're at today. You can change. You can heal.
And Mary, you and the children may need counseling as well. You all experienced this trauma. It wasn't the same experience that she had, but you did have your own experience of this trauma, right? Their mother was kidnapped. Your daughter was kidnapped. All of you could use some therapy. And if we could get a Christian family counselor that could meet with you all and help you all process it as a family, that would be great.
We will do that. What book would you suggest?
I think Take Your Life Back would be a really good one.
We'll send that to Mary, and hold on, and we will get you a counselor that can help your family start the healing process. You know, that is the hope, right, Sheri and Jacqui?
Yeah.
Is that you don't have to stay stuck on repeat. And we're so glad you called. We'll be praying for your family too, Mary. We're going to go back to the calls, and we're going to continue taking calls at 1-800-229-3000. Right now, we're going to talk with Amy, who's calling us from Charleston, South Carolina, listens on Sirius XM. Hi, Amy. How can we help you today?
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call. And my question is my husband is a pastor, and about 2 years ago, my daughter brought a friend to church with her, and we thought he was a young man, and he's, really sweet, really seemed like a really great guy. And anyway, we did find out a few months later that was actually a girl, and so he told my daughter that she was born biologically female, and she has had a mastectomy, but kind of come sporadically. But recently she's come more faithfully and has asked my husband about joining the church and volunteering some, like with our kids' ministries. And so I'm just calling to get some advice, really, for my husband. Okay. And so initially he just said, thanks for reaching out to me, and we'll get together, and talk in a few days. And so that's kind of my question. Any advice that you have for us?
All right, Amy, that's an important question, very relative to a lot of folks right now. Jacqui, you want to start?
Yeah. My husband's had a similar experience as a pastor recently, and so I'll just share what he did. He just sought out the counsel of other pastors. He has a pastoral advisory committee And so he just sought them out. He sought conversation with other pastors just to see how they're navigating this this era, this new challenge of the transgender community and where they land in the church and what it means. And there's a lot that we don't understand as humans. And so how do we show love and honor our commitments to God, but at the same time be loving and respectful and welcoming to people? I think it's just a hard question. And I would just have him seek out support and guidance from the other pastors in his cohort.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amy, you can hear the music. Hold on. We'll come back after the break and we'll hear from Sheri. It is a difficult question because it's a new day, right? And so we want to be effective as the Church of Christ.
Yeah.
And people are complex. It's, and that's nothing new. That goes all the way back to the very beginning.
Yeah.
And so these are just different kind of conversations. And we'll be helping you a little bit more after this break. We also help a lot of couples at our intimacy and marriage workshop. And if you've not gone, you maybe make that your trip.
My girlfriends and I have been searching for so long to try to find an event to attend.
Lumina is a new women's conference designed to inspire your faith so you can lead and live confidently from God's Word.
It was nice to come here and just realign myself with who God says He is in my life.
The Lumina Conference is a 2-day experience. 1 full day of worship and teaching in Museum of the Bible's World Stage Theater, and a half-day guided tour through Museum of the Bible.
You are literally immersed in the Word of God. You can walk through the Old Testament. You can walk through the New Testament.
Lumina is for women of all generations, cultures, and denominations. It's a great place to gather with women from your church and community.
If you want some fellowship and you want to be strengthened, this is the place you want to be.
This year's Lumina Conference is October 27th and 28th in Washington, D.C.
It was absolutely life-changing.
For more information, go to luminawomen.org.
I have given to New Life regularly because I have so many people that I am referring to New Life who so benefit from the ministry. I just can't imagine what would happen in my area if New Life wasn't available to us.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Prayer, 100 Days of Freedom from Depression, and 100 Days of Peace. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are taking your calls at 1-800-229-3000. And, it might be a relationship issue. It could be trauma. It could be marriage. We all have stuff to deal with, and we want to help you get through that stuff. Right now, we're talking with Amy. There is an issue with a volunteer or potential volunteer at church who identifies as transgender, and just all the complex conversations that go along with that. Amy, I wanted to hear from Sheri, and so we'll just go there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to bring a different perspective in, and I think I need to voice this, even if I'm unpopular. This is the thing, is as we're watching the cultural landscape change, what's changing the fastest is sexuality. It's changing the fastest. there's not another facet. When I look at how pornography is off the charts, when I look at sex trafficking, when I look at the confusion that people are entering into in masses now around their gender. Like there was a day when people came into the world and there were some that had questions and wrestled with their identity sexually. But because there is so much more acceptance, because we are afraid as believers to stand our ground or to even talk about the sexual confusion, we're afraid of being looked at as being old-fashioned or like we just, you're not up with the times or you're not a lover like Jesus would love them or whatever. And I'm saying, wait, we have to look at the confusion and that it's coming in through a sexual portal. And I think that the enemy is taking our globe by sexual deceit and confusion because it is creating a lot of disharmony and we're trying to make it harmonious when it's not. So I want to just say that I think as believers that we can love and we can still say, you know what, I'm not comfortable with you being involved in our children's ministry. Because I not only think about the pastors he needs to talk to, but what about the parents? Are parents okay if they know there's a transgender person that's there with their kids and that there might be conversations that are happening? I mean, they're coming into our schools, they're coming into our homes, they're coming into our churches. And, I guess there's a part of me that says it's okay to protect those as well. We can't avoid the conversation, but we have to be responsible for who we're placing into leadership. And that is ultimately what God has called us to. So it's not wrong. It's not wrong. And so anyway, that's where I sit.
And to go in that direction, Amy, have you guys had conversations with this person? Or has it been kind of third party, somebody said something to somebody?
Well, he hasn't told us directly. We just have had surface conversations with him, but he did tell our daughter. They work together, and she told us, and that's I'm assuming he knows we know, but I'm not sure.
I mean, and then there's the bigger heartache, right? You guys, this is somebody your daughter is loving. She's in love with. I mean, this might be your new son-in-law. We haven't even talked about that. We haven't even talked about your heart, precious one, and how you feel and your husband feels about how that might impact your generation going forward and what kind of conversations you're having with your daughter.
Yeah. I think to your point, Sheri, Dr. Sheri, we, and my husband has said this, we have to be allowed as well as Christians to have a voice too.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm hearing is we get to talk about it and you get to have a perspective. It's not just the other person. We, take them in consideration. They have a place, they have space, they have whatever is going on in their life. And to Becky's point, having an open conversation with them, if they want to come to work with you, that's going to need to be a big part of it. And you might already have policies in place that already address this. And so if you have a organization that your church belongs to, they might have policies. And so I'm a standard operating procedures kind of girl from the military. And so I would definitely pull out your policies, and so that you're in line with those. And then also thinking about ways in which we may need to make changes in our policies based on what our beliefs and our tenets are of our church.
And those are... Well, I was going to say, those are good conversations always.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter what the impetus is. That's a great way to go into ministry or to deal with ministry issues always.
And I think there was a time where the global church was not open, right, to homosexuals, to transgenders. But, there's a lot more options for them there. But that doesn't mean we have to change our home or we have to change our church. We need to be able to offer choices to people. And there might be some people that are okay feeling like they can come to your church, maybe, whatever you decide, and maybe have more of a shelter there from what we're getting in the world, an alternative. So, but we just don't always have to say yes, 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 yes.
That's it. Amy, we're so glad you called today. I'm going to send you a copy of the 1 Year Bible for Women. I think that'll encourage you. And we'll be praying for this situation and so many more like it, because it is, it's a reality we need to be praying about. So we're grateful that you called and brought it up. We'll be right back after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery. And one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We're so grateful that you're listening today, wherever you are listening. And we have lots of ways you can listen, whether it's podcast, on YouTube or the internet. You can listen in lots of different ways. And that means you can share the program in a lot of different ways too, which means more people will get the help that they need. And so as we continue to take calls, you can call us 1-800-229-3000. If you need help, you can call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Right now, we're going to go back to the calls, and we're going to talk with April, who's calling us from White Marsh, Maryland, listens on WRBS. And I'm so glad you called. April, how can we help you today?
Hi. The reason I'm calling is because I have a dear friend who recently lost her husband of 30 years. I'm pretty sure they were together for 30 years, maybe married for 20-some years. And I recently was with her, and I asked her how she was doing. She's in a church family, and so she's supported by a lot of people who love her, some women who also lost their husbands. I met 3 of them this weekend when I was with her. But I did say to her, I said, are you talking to anyone? Do you have a counselor? And she said she was trying to find someone, but she hasn't been able to. She lives closer to Washington, D.C., and so part of the reason why I called was to see if there were some resources that I could get for her. She's trying. She's struggling for sure, as anyone would who has lost their spouse after so many years. They've raised 2 beautiful children who are now adults, professional adults. And it's traumatic. It really is. and she's trying. But I want to, want to be a good friend, and I want to help support in any way that I can.
That's awesome, April. We do have great counselors in the DC area, and we can get her connected with somebody. But let's start, Jacqui. How can April begin to help as her friend is going through this grief journey?
Yeah, April, sounds like you're providing help. You are a resource. And it sounds like she's a smart woman. She surrounded herself with other people, so she has people to talk to. She's not isolating. I would continue to be a safe landing place for her and encouraging her, helping her find a counselor, I think is a big part of that, because when you are in grief, sometimes you don't have the energy to do the research, and so you doing the research, I believe, is a part of your caring for her and loving her.
You make me think about Jesus when the folks brought the person that they loved down the roof, and that's you, April. It's so precious. Even the fact that you've met 3 others who are widowed, you're entering into this time of painful transition. That's rare, first off. When I think back to what people need, I know my brother, sadly, a couple years ago committed suicide. And we didn't plan on it. It wasn't something you ever stage. It just happened. And I'll tell you, part of what helped his wife, Benya, the most on that D-Day was love, arms, coming in. I had to move her stuff to another room in our home, my mom's home, buying her a new bed, painting, getting new bedding. I mean, very practical. We forget that when someone loses their spouse, they may not have kept the books for years. They may not know how to do accounting. And I just had somebody this week had a death, and I think almost a year ago, and they are saying, I used to keep my house, I like where things are at, but it is so messy that I'm now anxious about the chaos because I can't do it. And I was just saying, you're overwhelmed. You're overwhelmed, but people feel shame about being overwhelmed. Like they think they should be past it. So just ask her, what practically do you need right now? Like, can I help you with figuring out the books? Did you know how to do that? Can I provide like a good person, a bookkeeper, or maybe that's your skill and you can help her, or somebody else that she would trust? So thank you for
I
love
that. Yeah, that's like the hands and feet of Jesus, right?
It really
Sheri?
is.
Yeah, and April, if you're close enough to her, you may even just observe and ask her, would it be okay if I helped you with this? Because sometimes people in grief can't even come up with what they need.
It's true,
because,
Becky.
I mean, it is. It's like, I don't even, and people will say, I will do whatever you need. And you're like, I have no idea what I need. I don't even know. And going back to our opening conversation about trauma, you talk about a traumatic experience. That's what this great loss, especially if it was sudden, April, I think, that can also impact her as well. Your heart as a friend is so good, and we will connect you with a counselor. We're also going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Grief Workbook. And it may be a little bit too soon for your friend to enter into that. We always refer to people to groups like Grief Share and such, but in time, this may be the next step for her. We're so grateful that you called. April, thanks for being a good friend. We're going to continue to take calls at 1-800-229-3000. But right now, we're going to talk to Larry Sonnenberg, who's in the studio there. Hey, Larry, what you got for us today?
Becky, I want to encourage couples to sign up for the Intimacy and Marriage Weekend coming up. And I'm going to read a testimony that it's a little different, but there's some good stuff in here. So don't groan when we start here.
Okay, promise.
This weekend was like a spiritual enema.
Oh, my.
Oh, my. Yeah, that's a nice picture for us. The Holy Spirit's been doing a work in me. This workshop is an investment that will keep on going. When a rabbi picked his men, he picked who he thought was best. Jesus doesn't call the qualified, but he qualifies the called.
Wow.
Love
that. That's quotable.
Through this ministry, God is qualifying us to go out and take our families take back our families. The first time fruit is mentioned in the Bible is in Genesis 1. And the last time is in the last chapter of Revelation. That we're to bear fruit goes from beginning to end. So I sow into this ministry because it's giving to God. God has given you good soil. So I just keep wanting to encourage people. And I want to encourage you to go to our website. Go to newlife.com, click on the tab at the top that says events, and then click on Intimacy and Marriage, and you'll see a page, and near the middle or bottom of that page is a testimony from a couple that went to Intimacy and Marriage. And it's a moving testimony, I think, because you'll see the wife saying, I had no interest in going to that workshop. Not at all. But I went, and then she shares what happened and how it happened. And a lot of it has to do with group. You go into a group in that workshop, and people bare their hearts, bare their souls, and it changes people. Just the simple act of sharing changes you as well as others. And when you hear somebody else bare their soul, it touches you, and you can see yourself in some of those situations. So I just can't encourage you enough to go. And I can't encourage you enough to support New Life, because God blesses and honors the things that we're doing, and we're doing it for His glory. We want to see transformation. Holy Spirit makes it happen, but He gets the glory, and He's the one that does it. So,
you know, Larry, I just talked to a couple the other day. I was just saying thank you for their support of the ministry, and just mentioned, hey, we're going to be in your area with the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. If you guys have never been, you know, maybe put that on your calendar. And she said, I wasn't even thinking about going, but now that you mention it, we've always wanted to do something to address some stuff that gets buried in the everyday life of couples. And we need to get some resolution to that. And that's one of the things, you know, when we talk about histories colliding and old habits that just continue to intertwine in couples' lives. And I know because I've been in those group sessions, listening to the hearts of those folks, learning these new things. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing to see them from Friday to Sunday. So, you know, folks, if you need help or maybe you just need to set some time apart for your marriage to say, we did this because our marriage is important. Give us a call, look at the website, like Larry said, and, you know, it could be the very thing that you need to do. We're so grateful.
Toughest thing might be picking up the phone and making the phone call.
Oh, yeah.
That's always the toughest. But once you do it, it's all downhill. So, folks, pick up that phone, make the call, please. 800-639-5433. And say, I want to learn about this workshop, and you'll get some good help.
Yeah, you will. We've helped a lot of couples over the years and have the testimonies that they wouldn't have the lives or the families that they have now because they did the work. They decided, I want to invest in my marriage because I don't want to be married and miserable. And we certainly hear enough of those stories, and we want to have people to thrive in their marriage. And like Dr. Dave Stoop used to say, God's got a mission for your marriage. What is God going to do through you as a couple to change this world? And maybe the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop will be the way to start it. Yes, Larry?
I love that our workshop, we help people learn how to be broken together in marriage.
Mm-hmm.
That's really vital.
Yes, we'll be back after this. Thanks, Larry.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. You know, we have a lot of resources that you can find help and hope for your life, and we've got a lot of them on newlife.com. You can go there and see all the different things. But, you know, we're always available on the phone, too, so you can call us there, too. We're going to continue to take calls for another hour, 1-800-229-3000. And so if you're on hold, please hold on until the next hour, but we're going to go with the next caller is going to be Todd calling us from St. Cloud, Minnesota. Listens on Sirius XM. Hi, Todd. How can we help you today?
Need some help with just dealing with some issues that I have, and I'm dealing with a significant other that's going through the EMDR herself and has major issues and abuse in her past, and she's got me a total basket case right now.
Okay, well, Todd, let's start with you, Sheri. How can we help Todd?
So you're saying, Todd, she's a basket case, or she's got you as a basket case right now?
Well, she is kind of in her own way. She's working on it, but
Okay.
she's got me so twisted up.
Aw. And so this is what I'm wondering. So it sounds like it's a very dear friend. I don't know if you have some chime in the background, but I just hear a bell in the background, so I want to make sure I hear you.
Sorry, that's my truck beeping at me.
Oh, okay, good. Sometimes, like, pain from somebody else beeps at you, too. It's really hard to turn the volume down on that until you do. Like, you just turn that beep off. That was just annoying, right? When somebody is going through their work and her pain is starting to bubble up and you begin to see her, and I'm going to make a guess here because I think you're a really good man, and I think you're a good man who feels deeply. And I think it's really hard for you to see somebody suffering and not be able to fix it, not be able to stop her suffering or her processing as she's moving to get to the other side. She can never go ahead.
She's got several, between issues with her and her daughter. She's got therapists. She's got her own therapist, and she's doing EMDR as well.
But how is that moving you? What's going on in you? Are you feeling frightened that your relationship might change? Are you nervous that she's going to turn into somebody?
Considerably.
Okay.
She had knee surgery about a month ago, and she's been staying with a friend because we're in a third-floor apartment. So we've been kind of apart. Sometimes she'll talk to me. It's great, and it'll give me hope for salvaging our relationship. And also, either she'll just absolutely ghost me when she knows I'm getting close to being home for the weekend, but then she'll be right back. She was telling me some of the stuff she went through earlier this week with her therapist, and she's afraid that it's going to trigger the PTSD and she could hurt me physically, she thinks, but then later in the day she texts me and she just tears my heart out, accusing me, and I'm at fault for this and this and this, and I'm trying to hold on to everything I can to keep us together. And it's like she won't even give me a chance. Every time I turn around, she's just doing complete 180s. She said she likes things, when we started the relationship, and then all of a sudden she's, mad at me for doing the same thing.
Has she been hurt by men?
Badly.
Okay. So guess what? What are you? Are you a man?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what? When I'm working with wives or somebody who has a significant other and I start EMDR, do you know what I tell them to tell their significant other? You know what I tell them? I say this. I say, you know what? You need to let your significant other know that you are going to be doing some deep healing. And what might happen is you might end up feeling angry, hurt, more tense, irritable, because you're processing the pain. She can't relive it. She's never going to relive the hurt.
Yeah.
But you're on the other side of that. So you can either try to hold her like a firefly in a jar and put the lid on tighter and suffocate her, or you could...
Then she complains that I'm invading her space.
And you might probably are.
And every time I am home, now she just ghosts me all weekend. Well, I'm not coming home this weekend. So I can't even get a chance to try to spend time with her at all.
But what if you were to let her breathe? Let her have space. Stop trying to control or capture her right now. What if you could be just a man of honor that is standing in the wings, waiting in the wings with whatever she needs? But I think it's hard for you to do that because I think you're triggered. I think you think she's going to leave you because you've been left. Jacqui?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
Pretty much, she'll just throw up, well, fine, I'll just give me time to find a place, I'll get my stuff out, and I'm trying to hold us together. But by the time she gets herself fixed, I don't know if there's going to be anything left of me.
Yeah, that makes sense. This is really hard as she's processing and learning things about her story. She's maybe projecting some things onto you that aren't yours. I'm curious, though, about how you are taking care of you during this time. What work are you doing? Because sometimes we're so busy focusing on someone else's healing that we miss opportunities to get our own healing. And while you're trying to keep you all together by your sheer force of your will, you may do a better job to keep you guys together, if that's what's meant to be, by doing some work for yourself and figuring out what is this that she's saying I am or I did. Oftentimes, a partner will complain about some behavior, and the other partner will say, well, I never did that, because they can't see themselves, or I don't have a face. I'm not making a face. I'm not angry. Go ahead.
There are issues that I have, that I don't deny it to her. I'll flat out agree that, yes, I do have a problem with that, and I've got some ideas of how she can help me to work through them.
Well, how about it's not for her to help you to work through that.
Right,
it's for you to work through that. That's part of the problem is you want to help her work through her stuff and have her help you work through your stuff, when in actuality, she's doing her work, which is appropriate. You need to do your work, which would be appropriate, and that could help heal the relationship.
So, Todd, in the essence of time, because we're going to run out of time here, I am going to send you a copy of Healing is a Choice. I know if you're on the road, it might be good nighttime reading, but I also want to encourage you to get a hold of, we'll connect you with a counselor that can help you along this way. It is more than just her getting help and you chasing after her, but there is hope to get to a better place, whether you're together or apart. But we got to do some work. Thank you, Sheri. Thank you, Jacqui. If you are on the line, please hold on. We're going to do another show after this. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.